When we're at Disney, we want our food experience to be as happy and as memorable as the rest of our Disney experience, whether it's counter service or full service, a snack cart or room service. But the fact is, Disney and food can be challenging, and that's why we do a lot of experimenting and strategizing in an effort to achieve the happiest and ideally the most romantic experience we can have. So welcome to our top 10 Disney dining tips, part 1. Our first tip is don't be afraid to ask for a more romantic table. Initially, this was not an easy thing to do. And no kidding, that's what Mark's parents did every time we went to dinner, no matter where we went. It made us uneasy, self-conscious, and uncomfortable, and we vowed we would never ever do that, even when we could afford to go to a nice restaurant on our own. It wasn't until we were about to be seated next to a family of 8 with 3 small children in a virtually empty restaurant that suddenly it wasn't all that difficult to ask if we couldn't have a more intimate table instead. The hostess understood immediately and accommodated, and no one felt uncomfortable as a result. Had the restaurant been full, we still would have requested a different table, and we would have been prepared to wait for it, because it would have been worth it. Which brings me to our second tip. Make your reservations for off-peak dining hours. It may seem obvious, but the best way to avoid those big families and limited seating options is to go when the restaurant isn't at its most crowded. This might mean starting earlier and staying longer by having your cocktails at the table, or timing your snacks and cocktails in such a way as to have a later meal. Just to be clear, peak lunch hour in the park runs from 11:30 to 1:30, and peak dining time runs from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. We generally prefer the late end of things, so we'll do a late lunch around 2 and dinner around 8. But do what's comfortable for you. However, if you would prefer not to have to worry about reservations or working around peak dining hours, there's tip number 3. Sit at the bar and enjoy the full menu. A great way to enjoy the atmosphere and culinary offerings of a Disney Resort hotel's signature restaurant is to sit at the bar. You don't need a reservation, and you can order off the full menu. So for us, that's a win-win. Still, it's a good policy to let the host or hostess know you're headed to the bar, partly because you'll likely be stopped if you try to enter the restaurant without checking in, and also because if nothing is available at the bar, you'll be a priority the second there is, which is a whole lot better than having to loom and jockey trying to wait for a seat to open up. Depending on the restaurant and bar, you will probably be shown to a seat just as you would if you had a reservation for a table. This actually makes sitting at the bar feel a little more special, and at the same time it can help break the ice with your other bar companions when you're taking the last 2 available seats. But frankly, we often prefer to sit at the bar because, for one thing, it's a lot of fun. It's great seeing a good bartender in action. You get to see a lot of great-looking appetizers and entrees go by. And you often get to meet some really nice people who just happen to share in common a love of Disney. But whether you're seated at the bar or a table, you can still take advantage of tip number 4. Birthday and anniversary badges earn a free dessert. When you're celebrating, Disney celebrates with you, particularly when you're advertising your special occasion on your special Disney issue I'm Celebrating badge. Admittedly, we learned this the hard way when we were brought a complimentary dessert at the end of our all-you-can-eat buffet at Walt Disney World's Yacht Club Resort. We were ready to pack it in, couldn't wait to walk off all the, oh my God, what have I done? I think I'm going to die calories. And instead, here's this beautiful plate with a beautifully scripted happy anniversary in chocolate around the rim of the plate. And our server made sure we knew that we were being given the brand new signature dessert that could only be gotten at the Yachtsman. So of course we were going to enjoy it, and we did. But the whole time we're kind of scratching our heads thinking, how could Disney possibly have known it was our anniversary? Was it Disney magic? No, it was our Disney special issue happy anniversary badges that we were both wearing on our shirts. So just something to bear in mind if you just happen to have other dessert plans, like enjoying the fudge you bought at the confectioner on Main Street that you had planned on enjoying back at the room with the nice scotch you brought from home. And no, you can't swap the dessert for a cocktail or a dessert wine. Just something to bear in mind so that you can have your cake and enjoy it too. Another potential dining reward is tip number 5. Have a nice meal and enjoy special VIP show seating later. Instead of waiting for hours to secure a good spot for watching a park's nighttime water show like Fantasmic or World of Color, you can secure a premium spot just by having a meal at one of Disney's participating in the park restaurants. We just happened to luck into it the very first time we had dinner at DCA's Carthay Circle restaurant. At the end of what had been a lovely meal, we were gifted with 2 VIP vouchers for the World of Color show. Had we not ordered that dessert, we may never have known what we were missing. Though probably we would have been encouraged to have a dessert in order to get the 2 VIP vouchers. But it is always a good idea to check the dining requirements before you make a reservation. Bottom line, if a nice in the park meal is something you've been wanting to do or planning on doing, the reward might be greater than you think. So this brings us to the end of part 1 of our personal top 10 Disney dining tips. Stay tuned for part 2, which is already available on our YouTube channel. In the meantime, please come visit us at disneyfor2.com or our Disney for 2 Facebook page. We'd love to see you there. Cheers!